if you will take it that, standalone mode, you will able to do it. You are able to establish 3 links in this. Shivamogga, you have done
Right.
it. Mangaluru with Coimbatore. If you go in detail, you will find that much more linkages are there.
Deeper, but the fact is they're all linked on one common platform, that is encrypted social media platforms. Platforms like Signal, platforms like Telegram. There are other platforms too. A lot of them have moved beyond these platforms also, because now they have come into common parlance and conversations. They are using highly encrypted platforms. Remember that the person who was the wife of this terrorist in Assam, inside that illegal madrasa, she tried to break the phone before the cops could come, and the cops retrieved and saw that she was also operating highly encrypted chat platforms. And she had been taught, despite just being a 10th standard pass, she had been taught how to operate those platforms. So remember, we need to put all of these things, they all look like scattered pieces of information and scattered instances across the country, but there seems to be a pattern and a chain that is connecting them all. Let's also try and understand and track Sharek's movements. He's also very smart. September 3rd and 4th, Sharek actually visited Coimbatore. Who did he meet? Who did he speak, connect with Mubin? Is it the same group? What Pathikrit was mentioning, is there a connect there? Moved to Nagarkoil, Uti, Alwa in Kerala. So he keeps roaming around here and there. Was he collecting material? Was he buying things at different places and collecting them, and in smaller quantities across cities so as to not raise suspicion? So look at how devious the planning is, how patient they are, how motivated they are. Procured fake Aadhaar in Hubli, SIM cards in Uti, returned to Mysore last week of September, assembled the IED over 2 months, 2 months in Mysore. Cops suspect Abdul Tala to be Sharek's handler. Abdul Tala is an ISIS suspect raided by the NIA in May. Tala is absconding. NIA has announced a 3 lakh bounty, but he's sitting outside beyond Indian shores and orchestrating, radicalizing, coordinating, sitting there. Pathikrit, we have a serious problem in hand. How do you
So
stop them
Anand,
from coordinating, communicating and radicalizing?
So Anand, very interestingly, let me tell you something. If you look at the Coimbatore blast, I find a lot of correlation and similarity with the Pulwama in terms of vehicle-bound improvised explosive devices being used. Except for the RDX which was there in Pulwama, everything else is very similar. In case of Pulwama, ammonium nitrate was used. In this case, potassium nitrate was used. In
Yeah.
case of Pulwama, aluminum powder was used. In this case, also similar aluminum powder has been used. Sulfur has been used. So it is very similar. Secondly, you will see they will not purchase everything from the same place. So they have distributed architecture of purchases so that it doesn't arouse suspicion. Third, you will see that frankly speaking, we have certain lacunae when it comes to fighting the hybrid war. There is no law in this country which prosecutes somebody who actually procures a fake Aadhaar card using fake documents. You have no
Right.
law. Only thing is that IPC section 420, nothing else. You cannot be incarcerated for that. That is the problem. Secondly, when you mentioned about radicalized youth not being prevented from doing something, you cannot do
Yeah.
preventive detention beyond a certain point. These are lacunae we have to evolve, and we have discussed in the past also that the government must look at this, that how do you prevent you if the terror attack happens and after that you catch hold of somebody, it doesn't make any sense. So preventive
Right.
detention of highly radicalized youth, in fact radicalization itself should be something that should be banned. That is the reason
Right.
in case of Jammu and Kashmir, that organization, Jamatul Islami was banned because it was radicalizing. Unless you actually stop radicalization, unless you put an
But
onus
banning
on
the
somebody not to
organization did not
radicalize,
stop
you
the
cannot win it.
radicalization. Just like that, you have rounded up 270 people from the PFI, banned the outfit and put a clamp down. But what about the
Yes,
remaining? There are thousands who have been
absolutely.
influenced by these organizations, and also by this entire place that you named in Coimbatore. How do we know that the individuals are still not connected? They are still not highly motivated. Why? Where are these people coming from? This is local. You cannot just brush it off saying it's a very small number, because a few are enough to cause damage that can perhaps render an entire nation's growth story derailed. That's also
So
possible.
Anand,
So
one
we've got to
small
be
point.
we've got to be mindful of that, and also the narrative that they're trying to spin. There is a politically narrative that's being whipped, and Nazi Hinduism, Hindu extremist. This is what is happening under the Modi government, etc. And then you see these people procuring IEDs, IDs which they are wanting to use to try and portray a different kind of narrative than what the actual intent is. This is serious, and this is being thought out somewhere, and some elements are planning this out. We've got to get to the bottom of that. I'm running out of time, but we'll take this forward later tonight at 8 p.m. on the right stand. Major General K.K. Sinha and Pathik Ritpayan, thank you for your inputs. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. Back on the Nation at 5 with news just coming through, and this is on the Shraddha murder, the entire case and investigation. The Delhi police has now got the permission to conduct a polygraph test or a lie detector test on Aftab. This after the Delhi police moved court seeking permission to carry out a polygraph test just so that they can now determine what is truth, what is fact and what is fiction. Anshul joining us with more details. Yes, Anshul.
So yes, Anand, this is a big piece of breaking news that we are bringing to our viewers. That sources, high-level sources in the Delhi police has confirmed to CNN News 18 that they have gotten the permission to carry out the polygraphic test on Aftab. Now remember, it was initially said that for the polygraphic test, the consent is needed from both the accused as well as the court. But yes, the manner in which the Delhi police is going ahead with this investigation, they have managed to get both these permissions from the accused as well as from the court also. So yes, in the next few days, we can expect that the polygraphic test would be conducted by the Delhi FSL team. Now remember, the FSL team had said that they currently have the responsibility to carry on with the narco test. They will be the same people who will be conducting this polygraphic test. And this
So will the polygraph test or the lie detector test be conducted before the narco analysis is done, as step one towards the narco analysis?
Yes, the polygraphic test, since it is a non-invasive procedure, it will be done before the narco test is done. Because remember, since narco test is an invasive procedure, there is a lot of permissions, and the health vitals are required to be at a certain parameter to carry out narco test. But yes, for this polygraphic test, since this is non-invasive, not so much requirements are required by the Delhi police,
right.
And hence the FSL team is going to carry out with this test as soon as possible. Is what we are being told as of now.
Right. Thanks, Anshul. You also caught up and spoke with the dentist. Let's listen in to what Shraddha's dentist had to say.
Sir, I was asking, आज दिल्ली पुलिस आपके पास आई थी regarding the श्रद्धा मर्डर प्रोब.
हाँ जी सर, हाँ जी.
सर क्या कहा दिल्ली पुलिस ने?
उनको सर कोई क्लू मिला है, उनको एक क्लू मिला है कोई.
अच्छा.
तो उसके रिगार्डिंग ये बात है. उनकी एक्चुअली फिर उनकी मुंबई में किसी डेंटिस्ट से बात हुई जहाँ उसका ट्रीटमेंट हुआ होगा.
हाँ.
तो मेरे पास तो सेकंड ओपिनियन के लिए आए थे कि हो सकता है नहीं हो सकता. तो मैंने कहा एक बार एक्सरे अगर अवेलेबल हो जाए तो फिर पता लग जाएगा. तो उस डेंटिस्ट से फिर बात करेंगे, देखिए.
तो आपको उन्होंने बोला है कि ये डेंटिस्ट से वो एक्सरे लेकर आपके पास आएंगे?
नहीं, मेरे पास नहीं आएंगे सर. मैंने तो बोला उनको कि डेंटिस्ट अगर वो क्लियर कर सकते हैं वही कर सकते हैं जिन्होंने इसका ट्रीटमेंट किया है.
अच्छा.
क्योंकि एक्सरे में पता लगेगा ना कौन सा किस नंबर में कौन से दांत में आरसीटी हुआ है, कौन से दांत उसमें निकाला है.
अच्छा, तो सर जब आपने फोटो देखी तो आपको क्या लगा वो फोटो देख करके कि उसमें कुछ?
बिना फोटो से नहीं बता सकते. तो फोटो से कुछ हम जब तक एक्सरे ना उन दोनों को आपस में कोरिलेट नहीं करेंगे ना, तब तक नहीं पता लगेगा.
तो आपने फाइनली दिल्ली पुलिस को क्या सलाह दी सर?
सर मेरा तो एक्चुअली क्या है, मेरे पास तो सिर्फ सेकंड ओपिनियन के लिए आए थे कि हो सकता है नहीं हो सकता. मैंने तो उनको ये सलाह दी कि आप जहाँ इसका ट्रीटमेंट है मुंबई में डेंटिस्ट है उससे आप बात करो, वो एक्सरे प्रोवाइड करते हैं. उनको फिर आप ये फोटो दिखाओ जो कि वो बता बेटर ट्रीटमेंट किया.
तो सर जो फोटोज थी उस फोटोज में क्लियरली ये पता लग रहा था कि जॉ है और डेंचर लगा हुआ है.
हाँ, फोटो में जॉ है, उसमें कैप लगी हुई है ऑलरेडी, बिल्कुल क्लियर दिख रहा है. मेटल कैप लगी हुई है दोनों साइड.
अच्छा.
और जिसने ट्रीटमेंट किया ना वो बता सकता है कैप देख के दांत में हमने कैप लगाया था नहीं लगाया था.
कितने दांतों में कैप लगा हुआ था सर जो वो फोटो?
Well, that was a conversation with the dentist. We've just got more updates. Nikhil Lakhwani joining us with some more fresh updates on the Shraddha murder case. I'm just going to quickly read it out for our viewers, Nikhil, before I come to you. The Delhi police is working on a theory on whether Shraddha could have not been killed via strangulation. So far, they said he strangulated her, but was she killed without being strangulated? Senior Delhi police officials claiming that they are on the right track so far with the investigation. 10 to 12 teams of the Delhi police of the southern range have been formed to crack this entire case. Recoveries have gone up to 30 to 35 plus items, including bones, blood samples, gadgets, belongings of Aftab and Shraddha from the house. Some travel documents have been procured. Social media apps and accounts are under scanner. And but for the time being, search operations at the pond area has been halted. what is Aftab? Has Aftab shown remorse? Take us through the details. So are they moving in the right track, and is it possible that she could not have been strangulated between 8 and 10 p.m. on the 18th of May?
Okay. So Anand, we have been speaking to a number of senior police officials who are placed highly in the department. They have been telling us, as far as the Aftab is concerned, he has now started to show a kind of remorse. He has been, regretting for the entire incident which has fallen out. And as far as the further investigations are concerned, as you rightly mentioned, Anand, that 10 to 12 teams of the Delhi police, they have been formed, and multiple officers have been placed, not just in the Mumbai city, but they are also at the same time, they are investigating the matter in the state of Uttarakhand, in the state of Himachal Pradesh as well.
Yeah.
Tosh is the place where a team of Delhi police already dispatched, and they are cross-verifying the facts which have been given by the accused Aftab Poonawalla. Apart from it,
Are they convinced that they have found physical body parts of Shraddha when they've recovered, when they've made recoveries?
Anand, as far as the recovery is concerned, if we talk about the overall recoveries, 35 plus items is what Delhi police officials have been saying, which includes not just the bone items, but also include the files, the documents, the sample parts. But since they have been sent to the FSL lab, now the report is awaited from the FSL, and further it will be sent for the CFSL, which is the Central Forensics Lab. After the report is out in the public domain, it will be given.
Claims are being made they've recovered her jawbone. Is that true?
Okay, so as far as the fresh recovery, Anand, a jaw and a denture has been recovered. This becomes crucial because as per the further investigation, a team of, as we have mentioned, a team of the Delhi police officials already in Mumbai, Palghar area, they have spoken to a number of people. They have recorded the statements of all those people who were in touch with the accused and with the deceased person as well. And through those investigation and the statements, they have also come to a fact that the deceased person, Shraddha, she had gone through the root canal therapy.
Right.
So the doctor is in touch with the dental surgeon who performed that particular therapy. So now the fresh recovery that we are talking about, Anand, about the jaw and denture, in that part, in that recovery, there is also a sign that the root canal was done.
Root canal
so
has been performed. Is it the same tooth? Is it the same
Yes,
region? And is there perhaps a possibility it could be Shraddha's?
Right.
That's where it is.
Right.
Nikhil, thank you for your inputs. Moving on from the Shraddha murder case to a big news coming through from Pakistan, where somewhere backdoor conversations between the government and the opposition, and of course the involvement of the military, seems to be building a certain level of consensus and a way beyond the impasse between the government and the opposition. That is the Imran Khan-led PTI in the opposition versus the ruling coalition of the PMLN, PPP and of course Fazlur Rahman's party. What we are given to understand is that Imran Khan will not oppose the appointment of Asim Munir as the next army chief. Pakistan on the verge of an economic default, so that's why they cannot afford an impasse or a stalemate politically. The establishment wants to end the political crisis. PTI Vice Chairman Shah Mahmood Qureshi has assured that the PTI will not have any objection on the selection of the next COAS, but there has to be a counter one. The counter there is that the government will announce early elections. They will announce the date of the elections as soon as the new Chief of Army Staff is also announced. But PTI Chief Imran Khan will rejoin the march in Rawalpindi on the 26th of November. Islamabad continues to remain the final destination of that Hakiki march. Abhishek Jha now joins us. Abhishek, it's building to some sort of a loose arrangement that things should move forward. But Pakistan in a state of flux does not augur well for India and for this region.
Of course, Anand, and like you have said, Lieutenant General Munir's name is on the top because of his seniority, but the history of Pakistan does not have shown that the seniority of a military general is the eligibility criteria of him being COS. The loyalty of him to the political dispensation is also crucial because at the end of the day, Pakistan's political establishment always look up to army's support to continue their government. And the kind of situation is in Pakistan where Pakistan's current government, Shehbaz Sharif, is actually facing a tough opposition from Imran Khan, especially in the aftermath of Imran Khan being attacked and an assassination attempt was made on him. He has got a lot of sympathy wave and people are swarming in to his public rallies and he's reaching on 26th to Rawalpindi. That will be almost the same time when this army general changeover will be happening. So there are a lot of political happenings that are happening, and this is why these backdoor negotiations between various party leaders from PMLN, party leaders from PTI are trying to bring in a consensus so that at least the country remains safe, country remains sustainable, so that a situation, a workable environment, a conducive environment could be created.
Thank you. Thank you for your inputs, Abhishek. We're going to take a very, very short break here on The Nation at 5. Stay with us. Back on the nation at 5 with the development from Kerala. What was an observation during the course of the hearing through last week has now become an order of the Kerala High Court, because the Kerala High Court has ruled that a Muslim marriage under personal law is not excluded from the sweep of the POCSO Act. The High Court also added that a husband who has a physical contact with a minor wife will be liable for punishment under the Act. The bench made the ruling while dismissing the bail plea of an accused who was arrested for raping a 16-year-old girl from West Bengal, who later turned out to be his wife. According to the prosecution, the accused abducted the minor and had sex with her several times. Later, the 31-year-old married the girl in question. The accused contended that he was legally married to the girl under Muslim personal law, and thus he cannot be prosecuted under the POCSO Act. Ananya Bhatnagar now joins us with more details. Ananya, does this imply that any marriage under Muslim personal law, if the girl is below the age of 18, then the POCSO Act implies? Or was the order specific in the case like here, where the man first rapes the girl, then marries her, that the POCSO Act applies?
Well, Anand, you have to remember that POCSO Act is a special act. Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences Act is a special statute which overrides the CRPC, that is the Code of Criminal Procedure, and the IPC as well in terms of conflict. But what we have seen in the recent past is that we have seen various views from, in fact, various high courts on this particular issue. We remember how the Rajasthan High Court had held that a Muslim woman who is above the age of 15 can actually marry. However, the same was challenged by the NCPCR before the topmost of the country, while the Karnataka High Court and the Kerala High Court have held unanimously that such a marriage is not at all possible, and a sexual intercourse with a girl below the age of 18 comes with the rider of a POCSO Act, and hence the POCSO Act would apply, and this would become a punishable offence. Again, a retaliation has come in from the Kerala High Court. Again, an observation clearly striking it out that no sexual intercourse under the age of with a girl who's under the age of 18 could be possible, because it is governed solely and solely by the POCSO Act, since it's a special statute, and it overrides any of the other acts that are implied against a particular person. Remember that in this case, the man had actually abducted the girl and then raped her, following which, after there was a case against him, he married the girl and then contended before the Kerala High Court that since he's a married man now and he has married that woman, then the POCSO would not apply, the Sexual Offences Act would not apply. And now, finally, the word has come in from the Kerala High Court, clearly suggesting and stating that such a thing is not at all possible. And remember, Anand, that until and unless there is a uniform code governing all of this, and that's the reason why various organizations, including the central government itself, is pushing for a uniform civil code, so that there is no conflict in the personal laws. If you remember what was said before the topmost court of the country.
Now here in this case, the court has very clearly said that the POCSO Act, the statutes of the POCSO Act supersede the Muslim personal law. But as we go across to Ashwini Dubey, my question remains the same, Ashwini Dubey. Have the court said because he first committed the offence, he forced himself upon the girl, raped her multiple times, had non-consensual sex or intercourse with her multiple times, then married her and used Muslim personal law as a garb to try and evade persecution or prosecution? In this case, has the court held POCSO upheld POCSO, or does this now mean that any woman, any girl who's less than 18 years old, if she is married off with or without her consent, with or without the consent of her parents, under any personal law, it is then liable to be deemed under the scrutiny of the POCSO Act? How do we interpret this, Ashwini ji?
Thank you, Anand Bhai. Pranam. Anand Bhai, as Ananya said, and you also said that POCSO as a special enactment. So any personal law or any other law for the time being in force, so POCSO Act overrides that law. Why? The intention behind this bringing this law is to protect the children below the age of 18 years, irrespective of the fact, Anand Bhai, that whether from which religion they belongs to, whether their personal law treats them to get married at the age of puberty. This says that as and when if you are below the age of 18 years, then the POCSO Act shall apply if you are amenable to any of the offense as given in the section 11 of the POCSO Act, which defines the sexual harassment. There is also an enactment, Child Marriages Act. So the marriage below the age of 18 years is not only the violation of the POCSO Act, but also the prohibited under the Child Marriage Act. So what the High Court has said, see, a few weeks back, if you remember, the Punjab High Court has said, Anand Bhai, that in Muslim personal law, the marriage below the age of 18 years is allowed. And similarly,
Yes.
we say Anand Bhai, section 375 sub exception 2 of the Indian Penal Code, which also says that the consensual sex with the wife or sex with the wife is not treated to be rape. So here exactly they put the same argument. But the court said that, look, POCSO is a special enactment. The advances and progress achieved in societal thinking have resulted in enactment. And a special statute was enacted based on the principles arising out of the jurisprudence relating to the child abuse. And in 2013, a bench led by Justice Madan B. Lokur Supreme Court has exactly said, Anand Bhai, what the Supreme Court said, the child marriage is not only a violation of human rights, but is also recognized as an obstacle to the development of the young people. The practice of child marriage cut short the critical stage of self-discovery and exploring one's identity, because the similar issue was referred, if somebody is not relating to the codified law, and if the personal laws will apply, to whether the provisions of the POCSO Act shall apply, or the Supreme Court said, look.
Now, here is my question.
Yes.
What I'm trying to understand, Ashwini ji, is what the Kerala court has now opined, what the Karnataka court has now opined. Will this law now apply uniformly? Is there by default now a common code set for marriage in our country? Or can other high courts rule differently? And here is where I'm once again singling out the case. In this case, the man forced himself upon the woman, non-consensual intercourse, then married her and claimed rights under Muslim personal law. But if a 17-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl, 16-year-old girl and her parents marry this girl off to another and older man, with everybody consenting to that, under the Muslim personal law and under the Sharia, then does POCSO apply or does the Muslim personal law apply? Because here then it's not non-consensual, it's all consensual. That's where the argument hinges. Or does the POCSO prevail, does the Child Marriages Act prevail over and above personal law, base this judgment?
Judgment, as per the judgment, not only the Kerala High Court, but as per the Karnataka High Court, as you rightly referred, Bombay High Court rightly referred, the POCSO Act has overriding effect on the Criminal Procedure Code, on the Indian Penal Code, on the other laws for the time being enforced, which allows this consensual relationship. Exactly the Punjab High Court's judgment, if you see, that is upfront to the POCSO Act. And that is why that matter has come to the Supreme Court. And Anand Bhai, here very candidly you have said the answer lies in your question itself, that the POCSO Act does not distinguish between child and child, does not distinguish between any religious. The POCSO Act says that whosoever is below the age of 18 years, if any offense is committed relating to the sexual harassment or the definition given in the POCSO Act shall be liable under the POCSO Act. And that is why the need is to have a uniform law. Supreme Court in 2013 has given this judgment, but High Courts have a right to interpret it, because High Court too have a right to interpret the law as per their own version. But exactly if we see the 2013 intention of that judgment, and if we see the intention of the legislature to bring this law, that exactly says that anyone who is below the 18 years, if anything happened against the will of the child, then the POCSO Act shall apply. It means that it has an overriding effect against any other law for the time being enforced, be it the personal law or the codified law.
No, but then does that mean that there is by default now a common code across the country on marriage, at least out of the 5 various angles? Should we say that, or is it too soon unless the Supreme Court rules? Because a High Court ruling can be challenged in the Honorable Supreme Court.
High Court ruling can be challenged, but the Supreme Court must see the judicial precedents which has been pronounced earlier. what has happened, Anand Bhai? In 2013, the independent thought approach to the Supreme Court filed a writ petition,
Yes.
civil number 382 of 2013, and issue before Supreme Court was limited one of the considerable public importance, that the sexual intercourse between a man and his wife, being a girl between 15 and 18 years of the age, whether the exception to section 375 of Indian Penal Code and whether the POCSO Act shall be excluded in this. The answer was in negative, said that the POCSO Act has a special enactment. Similarly,
it's a special enactment. It's above CRPC, but in this case, once again, some gaps remain. Will all courts opine the same, or will this judgment be challenged in the Supreme Court? That's what is a big question. Have run out of time. Ashwini ji, thank you very much. Winding up the nation at 5 on that note. Zakir ready with Viewpoint.
Good evening. Mohammad Sharik from Shimoga in Karnataka has been identified as the one who was behind the pressure cooker bomb that went off in Mangaluru over the weekend. He's been identified as inspired by the terror outfit ISIS. He was planning to place the bomb in a much more crowded locality, before which it blew up in an auto rickshaw in which he was traveling. Is there a fear of spread of radical terror in South India, which some political parties and politicians may be in denial about? How was this man, who was wanted in at least 2 other cases, one of which was UAPA, not under the radar of agencies, so much so he was able to travel from Mysore to Coimbatore to Mangaluru? And most importantly, how did he manage to procure fake Aadhaar cards and acquire a false identity before carrying out this blast? But first, the story so far.
Four weeks, 2 blasts, both with an overlapping, sinister, bigger picture coming through. Mangaluru, Karnataka, November 19th. Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, October 23rd. Blast in car then, blast in auto rickshaw now. Near a temple then, headed to a temple now. In both cases, bomb ingredients recovered point to a bigger terror plot in the works. This is the man at the center of it this time, badly burned in the Mangaluru auto rickshaw explosion. Mohammad Sharik posing with a pressure cooker bomb in signature ISIS style. Police had been on the hunt for him since September in another case. Searches at Sharik's rented house reveal indications of a bigger terror conspiracy in the making. Gelatin powder, circuit boards and more used to manufacture crude bombs, besides signs of links to PFI and to one Abdul Mateen Taha of the Al-Hind ISIS module active in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu.
So Abdul Mateen Taha is also escorting. He is the main handler as of now, as per our information, of Sharik. His acts has been inspired and influenced by some terrorist organization which is having global presence. So it is due to that, and he has tried to learn this manufacturing on his own itself.
On to efforts underway to decode an under-investigation bigger ISIS terror plan in South India. In Mangaluru, Mohammad Sharik, Abdul Mateen Taha, possible threads lead to ISIS. In Coimbatore, Jamisha Mubin, the man who was killed, allegedly had close links to Zehran Hashim, the suicide attacker in the 2019 Easter bombings in Sri Lanka. Again, the ISIS thread. There's also a Kerala thread under probe, one Muhammad Azharuddin, who allegedly heads an ISIS module in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The Mangaluru blast on Saturday and the NIA probe that's underway points increasingly to a bigger web of terror being spun for South India.
ನಿನ್ನೆ ದಿನ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಮಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಕ್ಷಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿನ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಪೇಷಂಟನ್ನು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮಾತಾಡೋ ಸ್ಥಿತಿನಲ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮಂಗಳೂರು ಪೊಲೀಸರು ಇದರ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯನ್ನು ಭೇದಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಅನೇಕ ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಇದರ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ ತುಂಬ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿದೆ.
Has this vicious web been played down for too long? How urgent are investigations needed ahead? Is a larger South India ISIS terror design finally unraveling?
Let me go across to Arunima, my colleague, who has more details on the story. And I think what is top of mind is 2 things. One, how is this man who was arrested in 2020 is wanted in at least 2 UAPA cases? How was he able to move freely from Mysore to Coimbatore to Kerala and then, of course, in Mangaluru, where this blast happened over the weekend? And secondly, how did he manage to get these fake Aadhaar cards? He was living under a false identity for the last few months in Mysore.
to answer the first question, not just Karnataka police, even the National Investigation Agency knew about his antecedents. He had been booked under UAPA, and yet not only did he manage to flee, but like you pointed out, he managed to travel. This entire conspiracy, it seems, began on 15th of August. On the occasion of Independence Day, there was a clash in Shimoga, and there were some arrests that were carried out as violence broke out between two groups. This person, Sharik, is accused of being part of that same module which carried out the violence there. From there, let's come to Coimbatore. On the 2nd, 3rd and 4th